Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show. I am Niall.
And I'm Nolan.
And we're going to be doing our normal thing where we do a spoiler-free review, give you a spoiler warning, and then get more in-depth into the movie. So, without further ado, here we go. So, Operation Finale, starring one Poe Dameron, and the Mandarin.
Or, Poe Dameron and Gandhi.
Yeah. But Oscar Isaac and Ben Kingsley are the two main roles in this.
Yeah, the two biggest roles.
So this is about
Operation
based on the true story of Operation Finale, which was so after World War II. Israel was sending Mossad out to hunt down Nazis who got away, escaped the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, a lot of those Nazis fled to Argentina.
Yep.
South America in general, but Argentina in particular, who were a lot of in their government were Nazi sympathizers.
Yeah, well,
and they
were definitely anti-Semites.
Yeah, they actually declared war on Germany like the last day because it could legally help them facilitate moving all these Germans to the country as like war prisoners.
Yeah.
But then they were released upon arriving. So there were a lot of Germans living in Argentina at the time.
Not just Germans, but like honest to God Nazis, because there were a lot of.
Well, the only ones that would have to flee would be honest to God Nazis,
right? Because the only ones that were getting tried and punished at the Nuremberg trials were the ones who were like actual Nazis. You know, random soldiers in the Wehrmacht or the Luftwaffe were not, but. Because they were just following orders.
But if you were in the SS,
if you're in the SS, if you were part of the party, if you were, important, basically. But I mean, Hitler, Himmler, and Goering all committed suicide before they could be tried, which really irked the Jews. So they were really trying to make sure people got punished for this, because those three in particular, killing themselves before they could be tried, really denied that sort of, I guess, closure.
It's any sense of justice.
Yeah. So, Mossad, which is the Israeli intelligence agency.
Yeah.
But they're also like
special forces.
They're a bunch of like total badasses. They were going around hunting the high-ranking Nazis and managed to get away. Some managed to go into hiding in Europe, and a lot fled to Venezuela,
Argentina.
Some did. A lot of them did flee to Venezuela.
That's true, but in this particular
case, Argentina.
It was Argentina.
Yep. So this though is about, in particular, hunting down one Adolf Eichmann, who he has the dubious title of being the architect of the final solution.
Yeah, basically, he figured out all the logistics involved with moving 6 million Jews around the country, around Europe, not just Germany, around Europe, and organizing the camps and getting them supplied and built and operated and everything. So he was in charge of getting the whole operation going and running that operation.
Yep, and that's Ben Kingsley's character in this.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's about how they find out that Eichmann's living in South America, how they confirm that it's him, and then how they go about capturing him and then getting him out of the country.
Yeah, without the Argentine government finding out.
Yep. And
so he can face trial. And Oscar Isaac plays one, Peter Malkin, who was a real guy on this team. From what I understand, not all the characters that were on this team were real people, or they might be based on real people, or they combined real personas together to make characters, For the sake of, brevity of the movie.
Right.
But Peter Malkin was an actual person, and he was part of the team, and he was brought on in real life because he was like a close quarters combat specialist and a master of disguise, so he could disguise the team members, and
yeah, they didn't really go into that.
But they did show he was an artist.
Yeah, they did show he was an artist. They did show him being good at. I would assume it's that martial arts that
Krav Maga,
or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know when that was invented, but I would assume it was that.
Yeah, this movie takes place in 1960.
Yeah, so. But definitely doing some martial arts that involves a lot of grappling and throwing,
right? And so,
and pinning people.
They showed him as a painter and a sculptor in the movie, which is true to life, from what I understand. But he was also like he came up with the makeup to disguise Eichmann, like the fake mustache, and
yeah, they didn't really go that much into that in the movie. Yeah, they showed him doing it, but it was just sort of like, oh, here's Oscar Isaac, and he's making a mustache on this paper mache bust he made of Eichmann. But they didn't mention that this was a particular skill that he had.
Right.
So
it was research I did after seeing the movie that I found out those were traits that he actually had.
Right.
And that's why he was on the team. But the movie focuses a lot on him because he kind of develops this connection with Eichmann, not he empathizes with him a little bit, because the movie, a big part of it is sort of humanizing Eichmann, showing that even he's a monster. They don't try to make light of anything he did. He is a monster, but he also is a family man, and he loves his wife and his children. And under other circumstances, if he hadn't been presented with this task, he might have been a pretty normal person.
Right. So yeah, throughout the movie, Oscar Isaacs, because the thing is, they need to get him out of the country on a plane on the Israeli based airline. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
And they will only transport him if they have a form signed by him saying that he agrees to be transported to Israel willingly.
And they have a time frame too, because normally the plane doesn't fly to Argentina, but because it's Argentina's 150th independence they were going to send a delegation as cover. Israel's sending a delegation to celebrate, so there's a plane there that they can put him on.
Yep.
And so they have until that point to get him to agree to go with us. So it's a lot of it is
so they got to get him to sign this form, and so it's a decent chunk of the middle act of the movie is involves them trying to convince him to sign this form, basically. So we'll go more into that in the spoiler part. I won't give too much of that away, but I mean, it's overall a very good movie, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Oscar Isaacs has some pretty funny dialogue.
Also, I forget his name. Another guy had some pretty witty. Oh, Nick Kroll. You probably have seen him in comedies. That's mostly what he does is comedies. Right. But it's fun. I don't think Oscar Isaac is Jewish or part Jewish. I couldn't find anything that said he was. He may be, but I don't know. Everyone else on the cast, I think, is at least part Jewish, which makes sense for these characters. But Oscar Isaac, I'd mentioned this before. He's like this racial chameleon. He can look white or Hispanic or Jew. You can believe him as so many different ethnicities.
Yeah.
And he just pulls it all off.
Yep. So yeah, I definitely recommend going to see this movie. It has some parts that are, fairly suspenseful because they have close calls with being caught and kidnapping Eichmann, and so it's definitely that. It's what was that complete you were talking about that you saw in an IMDb review earlier, that there wasn't enough action?
Right. Well, there's basically no action.
Well, that's kind of the point. Is they were specifically forbade from killing anyone or shooting anyone.
Yeah, they wanted Eichmann to face trial. They didn't want him dead. He had to face trial so that the world, the act would be exposed to the world. And they showed at the trial footage from the concentration camps, which is the first time the world had seen any of this footage. And this is what kind of exposed, like everyone had heard, like people had heard, like there was some bad stuff going on, but this is still 1961 when the trial happened. And no one had seen any of this footage. No one, the world at large had no idea just how bad it was.
Yeah, and I mean, they show the footage in the movie, and yeah, it's bad. Just like showing the remains left in the ovens and the piles of bodies,
the emaciated people still
alive, all the
and
stuff that we kind of know now because we've all seen the footage in history class in high school and whatnot. But
right, and then it was kind of brought to light during this trial that the Israelis used it as a means to bring the Holocaust to the world at large, and people hadn't been exposed to it so much outside of the Israelis and the Germans and those Americans who had seen the camps, and the Russians who had seen the camps, and British. But I mean, most people had no idea, and so this was sort of like their means to get it out there to the world. And so it was a big turning point in knowledge of the Holocaust.
Right. So, but yeah, so go see this movie. I don't think I can say anything else without spoiling anything. So
no, and it's a very good movie.
Yeah. It's just over 2 hours. So, which is a good amount of movie.
Yeah.
Not too short, not too long. All right. So I guess spoiler warning.
Yeah.
All right. So there's not a whole lot to spoil. I mean, the movie is based on true events, so it's like a lot of people already know about. I mean, they know about that Eichmann was captured in Argentina and put on trial in 1961. They don't necessarily know how the operation went down, things like that.
Right. That's kind of what the point of this is. It's like, a lot of historical movies, how they end because of history, but the movie is about how they reach that end that you already know is going to happen. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Really.
I mean, most of the plot that could potentially be spoiled is basically just how his interactions with Eichmann, Malkin's interactions with Eichmann, and how, like, Eichmann talks about how he didn't really understand, or he claims to not have really understood, like, just how atrocious it was, and that he had a job to do. He was a logistics officer, and he was doing his job.
Really makes the argument he was just doing his job. How's it any different than what Malkin was doing? Just soldiers following orders.
And that when he saw it, he was himself revolted by it.
Right. He claims. But Malkin, I think it was Malkin in the movie, makes the point that he's a very manipulative person, though. How he talked rabbis into loading the cattle cars themselves without force.
Right.
It's like anyone who can do that. Can you trust anything that they say? You really can't. But he does come off at some points as genuinely sorry for some of the things he did. But again, he's a very manipulative person. But the movie, it takes a great effort to humanize him and make him seem, like there's a person under that.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to remind, because it's easy to like Wolfenstein it up and just, oh, look at these Nazis, they're monsters. look how just arbitrarily evil these people are.
Right.
When it's like, but at the same time, they are still people.
Yeah, you got to show that, you start with people, and if you just paint them as monsters, they're kind of getting off.
Yeah, they're kind of this like
a boogeyman thing, right?
Yeah, but like a what's the word I'm looking for? I know the word, and it's just at the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. But so they're a abstract, just sort of like an abstract evil villain, like movie villain type thing.
Right. When you show that they're people, you understand that anybody could do this.
Right.
Under the right circumstances, this could be anybody. Anybody could do these things.
So
humans are not like inherently good or inherently evil. They're kind of in this gray area, and just outside influences, one way or the other, could easily push you one way or the other.
Right. So yeah.
So you need to understand, that Eichmann was a real person. He loved his wife and his kids, and under other circumstances, he probably would have been a good guy. But he fell in with Nazism, and it pushed him to evil.
Yep. But yes, I mean that's kind of all we really have to say about it. Again, there's not a whole lot to spoil in this movie. There weren't any like surprises or anything.
He is executed in 1962.
Yeah, you know he got tried and executed. These are well-known things. So
right.
But so yeah, go check that out. Let's see what's next week. Or this coming weekend. Nothing. Oh, I see. Opening. Peppermint is the only thing.
Yeah.
So might be seeing that. Oh yeah. We haven't seen Alfie yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
Just haven't had the time. But yeah, so the only thing coming out this week, though, yeah, it looks like Peppermint. And the following week is The Predator and White Boy Rick, which looks really cool. I think it looks like a really good movie. Yeah. So I'm excited to see that. And then, yeah, there's not a whole lot. The Sisters Brothers.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that.
At the end of the month. I mean, there's nothing else coming out that week, so. Oh, there's The Old Man and the Gun. Might be seeing that as well. So, and then after that, we go into our slump. Our fall movie slump. So, yep, be on the lookout for that stuff. If you like this review, check out our other reviews. What was the last one we put up?
What was the last one we put up?
Was it Mile 22?
Yeah, it was Mile 22.
Okay, that's right. So, yeah. Like I said, if you like this review, go check out our other reviews. We see, I would say, an above average number of movies. And we like talking about them.
Yeah, I think, oh no, it wasn't Mile 22, it was, Happy Time Murders.
Oh yeah, it was Happy Time Murders. Before that was Mile 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go see Happy Time Murders too.
You go see Happy Time Murders. That was a really good movie as well. So, anyway, if you like I said, if you like this review, check out our other reviews. We put them up pretty frequently. Like I said, it'll slow down through the fall. Just because you get out of the summer movie season and then nothing's really coming out until the winter. So, oh well. Until next time.
So long.
Toodaloo.